Yes, everybody, what's the West Ham Network? Can you tell that that Mrs. Pudden and Florence aren't around? It's me. It's live again for a Friday Night Live, a late show. Irish Tom will be back with a proper late show in the next week or so. But I thought, you know what, I'd jump on because West Ham transfer news just doesn't want to shut up, does it? We've had a raft of updates in the last couple of hours, alluding to a potential triple signing. Well, quadruple if you include Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well. In all honesty, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is probably the easiest one because he's actually in the same fucking country as everyone else, as he played for Man United in San Diego. Granted, it's the other side of the country, but still. Now, where are we up to? Where are we up to today? So, in the last few hours, we have had confirmation from Dharmesh that, where is it? Somerville. The Somerville second part of the medical has been completed. Apparently, it's done, it's dusted, and it'll be announced. It was due to be announced apparently at 4:00, but I didn't think that was going to happen. The likelihood is it's going to be announced tomorrow sometime. Obviously, logistically, a lot of the media team were out in the States for the game against Crystal Palace at Tampa Bay tomorrow. So, and he's not going over there, obviously, as well. He'll be staying in London rather than travel over there because they'll be coming home Sunday morning anyway, probably. So that's apparently done, although nothing is ever done with West Ham, as we well know. And then we've had the revelation, is that the right word? Of Guido Rodriguez, for former Real Betis Argentinian international, World Cup winner. He still played, although he played like less than an hour in the World Cup. He won the World Cup with Argentina as well as two Copa Americas. Now he was a free transfer, was a free agent, having left Real Betis in the last season in the summer. Now, this was one that apparently did mention it a couple of days ago, that we had a couple of irons in the fire which we wanted to keep under wraps, and apparently Rodriguez was one of them. Apparently West Ham got wind, by who I don't know, that the deal with, he was going to go to Barcelona, and a verbal agreement had collapsed, and West Ham pounced. And according to Fabrizio Romano, he's given it the here we go. Medical booked for Rodriguez tomorrow, and then time to sign the contract. Apparently, terms have been agreed, and he's ready for the medical. So it's not as complicated because there's obviously no sort of other club to work for in terms of sort of three to tango. It's only us and Rodriguez and his representative. So that apparently will be in. Now, what's good about Rodriguez? He played with old Edson when they were at America, when at Club Americanas, and had a very successful time with Edson, good friends as well. And arguably he'll be there, I would say, as a replacement for Edson Alvarez, as backup for him. He's 30. He's not the obviously a spring chicken as such, but I think he'll be ideal for what we're trying to achieve in terms of that backup. He's not gonna. We've got one CDM spot in essence, and that is very much Alvarez's. But obviously, he will get injured. He will get suspended. So, someone, a World Cup winner, very, very experienced player. Market value of about 20 million euros. It reached a peak of 28 million, according to Transfer Market back in 2022. He's got 30 caps for Argentina as well. And has played, well, pretty much Mexico and obviously La Liga. Very, very, experienced player. Woods, the likes of Freddie Potts will learn a lot from him, as well as Edson as well. And playing together would work well, I think, as and when required as well. And then our good friend Florian Peltenberg, he apparently says that it looks like the Folk is coming. And YouTube users can be very happy about this. He's a massive fan of the Folk. But it does seem apparently that it's on like Donkey Kong for him. It's apparently, according to Twitter, according to the sources, 26 million euros plus 4 million add-ons. Additional payments apparently is the final hurdle. And a contract, apparently a 3-year deal with a 1-year option for a 31-year-old. Fucking hell. So it does seem a bit like madness. So that's not including the likes of still on there. That's not including the likes of Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well, who obviously we are heavily linked with. Now we spoke about it at Hammer's Headlines. According to Claret and Hugh, they were looking for five players to come in. Before 5 more players to come by the end of the transfer window. So we assume 3 of them would be, if all goes well, Somerville, Rodriguez, the Folk, and then probably Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well as the 4th. The 5th one could well be John Duran as well. The advantage, so to speak, of getting in a free transfer for that sort of backup role, so to speak, rather than spending money, means that money, that budget could be allocated elsewhere. And it could be Duran and the Folk coming in potentially. Wow. Wowza. Let's go through some chat. I've seen YouTube user. He's in the chat. Good evening, Lawrence. Looking excited. Gaz, hope you're well, Mark. Hope you're well. Well, Mrs. Bunn's away. While the cat's away, the mice will live stream. I believe that's another excellent show coming up. I bloody well hope so, Ian. Bloody well hope so. Do you think we'll sign to it? That's exactly what I'm saying. 3 today, you're spoiling us. Well, we do. Give Tim a Michelin star. We are cooking with gas. Just going to the grandson, so asleep. So a better way than chilling out in a cup of tea, hearing about West Ham. Indeed. Good evening, James. Scott's in the house. Jamie's here. Some were saying they thought they saw some of you training with the club. Can't see it, but it would be something. No. Impossible. All the links are cracking links. Oh my God, what midfield attack. Does this mean Alvarez is leaving? Nope, not at all. Alvarez is going nowhere. Club America team he really was. That was an incredible team. If they all come in, surely we have to let a couple go. Well, I think Mike, I hope you're, mate. I'll see you, mate. I think we've always, not been shy in the fact that we would be happy to let players go, but clubs got to want our players. Do you know what I mean? And that's the issue. That's the issue. Whether we can sell the players is another thing. And like someone like Danny Ings. Danny Ings on a good wage. Zuma's on a good wage. It will take they won't leave unless they get more money or a bigger contract or something like that. And I can't see people spending particularly anything longer than any more money on someone like a Zuma, in all honesty. Rodriguez is a great player, but how does that affect? Doesn't affect Orford, because I think Orford is a different player to Freddie Potts. Freddie's very much your CDM. Orford's a bit more like a Michael Carrick. He'd play more of on the front foot. That's the way I prefer. That's the way he prefers to play. Freddie, I think Freddie comes in and still is that. He'll still be that midfield. Something's got given that midfield. The Souček, JWP. We've got all these players, and I think something's got to give. But again, it takes 2 to transfer. I think I'd like to see Lewis go out on loan. Look, we joined with. Hey, someone's put the kids to bed. It's Mum's night out. It's Mum's night out.
We're free, Russ. We're free for now.
Free. Well, I've still got another 5 nights. It's not like I'm counting them down, but I've still got another 5 nights without them.
You can do it. Keep going.
Well, thank God West Ham are keeping us entertained, and thank God for the Olympics as well, because I'd be bored at shitless, to be honest. But yeah, it's been a bit mental, isn't it? The last 48 hours at least with West Ham.
There's so much going on. And it feels strange because you normally hear about, I suppose, stories breaking that probably aren't in our interest, but it feels like all the news is breaking at the right times and we're working behind the scenes and then just suddenly just announcing things that you haven't even heard about, like players like Guido Rodriguez, who I think this morning most of us have probably never heard of.
No one
And
had ever heard of him, and now he's the next of a line of World Cup winners that will be playing for West Ham.
here he is, ready for West Ham. Yeah, amazing. Like, it just feels like there's so much going on, and I'm really, really happy because we'd all been hoping that behind the scenes Tim was doing an amazing job, but it was going to take a few windows for him to be able to really start working. And it feels like with Lopetegui, we've got a new project with a new manager, and we can just sort of hit the ground running with a completely new project. We don't owe it to any players to play them if Lopetegui doesn't think they're going to fit in his system. We're going out and we're getting the players that he needs, and hopefully this is the start of a really, really exciting season. And we're not leaving it to the last minute.
I know. I mean, as I said, this time last year, we hadn't signed anyone until the 10th of August. And again, last year, don't forget, we lost the central core. We lost Declan Rice, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we didn't replace him until the season had started. Well, not replace him, but we got a sort of person to fit in that role until after the Bournemouth game, wasn't it? I think so. Yeah, absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy at the moment. And then do you know what? I know we've got YouTube views in the chat. He doesn't like. We know he loves the folk. He definitely. He sits on the fence of his view on the folk. But I'm really excited about the folk coming. If he comes, I don't know what it is about him. He just seems like a bloke, like an old school footballer. Trevor Morley, that type of. Yeah, I don't know what it is about him. Maybe because it's slightly older. I think he's going to be our Craig Dawson signing. I really do.
I really hope so, because with the age, obviously, it does ring a few alarm bells that you wonder, like, we all want to build this long-term project, but I think we've probably got to accept that there are going to be some players that come for a season or two and do a job, rather than everyone being 22 and we've got them for another 8 years kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily. I hope that he does hit the ground running, but he's got a goal scoring record. Like, he might be turning 32 in February, and I know that he's not overly cheap from what I've seen as well, but it just feels like, we've also got an old attack, because with Antonio and Ings, none of them are young.
It's about 100. It's about 98. I think someone said, if all three of them played.
Experience. They bring the experience.
but it is, and I think it's going to be fascinating to see how it all works. How it works with the remaining players in the squad as well. I think there's been, despite the fact of, we've had loads of like, I don't know, Ings has said, I love the way you're playing, and JWP. I think Lopetegui has had a few weeks to assess the non-international players, and he said, right, we need this, this, and this, Tim. We need this, we need a proper striker, and it could be, as I said, and so Costa Hammer made a point, and I was talking to someone about it this evening about it. By getting Rodriguez potentially on a free transfer, it means what we would have spent. We were trying to buy Fofana for 30 odd million quid.
Yeah,
that money surely could then be allocated to Duran, so Duran and the Folk. So having no strikers, we could have. Yeah, that's what I call him now. He's the Folk.
What's a name?
I've got it. I've seen what I'm gonna do with the picture. I'm gonna put it in green. Yeah, exactly. It's all sorted. But I just think that it'd be fascinating to see how it all works. And you're right, and people are going to say, "Oh, he's old," and Rodriguez is 30, and this is not the Tim Steidten way of doing stuff. But don't forget, Tim Steidten. If you look at Bayer Leverkusen, who's their most important player they signed in the last 3 or 4 years? Granit Xhaka.
Yeah,
Xhaka. Who was like, well, not a joke at Arsenal, but he was almost kicked out of Arsenal as the captain, wasn't he? And people talk about the Brighton model. Brighton, yes, they go out and buy all these great players, but they got James Milner on a free transfer. They got Lallana. They got Welbeck. If we'd signed Danny Welbeck, right, it would be like the Twitter, the West Ham Twitter would have exploded at that point.
Yeah.
So I agree. You've got to get. It's got to be a balance. It's got to be a balance.
Yeah, it has to be. It absolutely has to be. 30 years.
Oh yeah, we got. Yeah, Gates is on. Yeah, Gates is on. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Don't
Yeah,
forget. Don't forget. Teddy Sheringham was 39 and scored 20 goals for us in the championship. And Stuart Pearce won Ham of the Year at 30. I want to say 34, 35 playing in the Premier League for West Ham. So anything's possible. As you can see, YouTube user, he sits on the fence about his opinion about the Folk.
How do you really feel?
I'd rather, exactly. Just tell us how you really feel, YouTube user. I'd really resign. I'd resign Gary Breen. Good old Gary Breen. And you're right. I mean, the club is putting out all these sort of training videos, GoPros and mic'd up and things like that. And the players seem to be, I saw the video today of Areola and Bowen turning up to the hotel today,
Yeah, same.
and Eguer don't look like he wants to fucking leave.
Everyone
Do you
looks
know what I
happy.
mean?
Like,
Everyone looks really
looks
happy. Yeah.
Good old team. I think that's the thing we saw with Lopetegui as well. Before he joined West Ham, a couple of videos came out of him like putting his arm around players and really looking after the team. And I thought that looked quite exciting at the time, but it does feel like he's brought this renewed sense of optimism to West Ham. And hopefully the players are all buying into this. And it's just going to give everyone that kick that it felt like we needed as well. Like whether or not it was that Moyes could or couldn't get the best out of players, I think the fact that we've got someone with fresh blood that is just going to give everyone just an absolute kick up the arse to go and work hard and do well, I think it's going to matter massively in terms of what we can actually do this season. Just giving someone belief as well. It felt like players had lost belief. They weren't making movement off the ball. All of this stuff, I think, can only be a good thing. And Lopetegui feels like he's got the feel-good factor, bringing it to West Ham.
It's all seems to be going in the right direction. Lewis Orford signing the 5-year deal as well. Where considering where we were on Monday, we'd had the really shit game against Wolves. We'd had news that they wanted to not get rid of, but Duran was part of the deal was Lewis Orford going to Villa, and there was and to almost go 360 now, where Lewis has signed a 5-year deal and all that type of stuff. It just seems like it doesn't take us a lot to get everyone back on side of it. Do you know what I mean? It's not take a lot. And I mean, Gates' asked obviously from Rodriguez, Real Betis. I think Fornals or Pellegrini. Well, I think Fornals more likely than Pellegrini, to be honest. Maybe, and obviously Alvarez, good friends with Rodriguez, having played together.
80 games, I saw.
He is,
Together, apparently.
Club America. As I said, I showed you the picture of them, like tops naked. They were naked at the top half. I think there must have been. I don't know what happened with that one. Holly, what area do you think the team do you need to strengthen the most?
I think if we can get these deals over the line, centre back for me is almost like the missing puzzle piece. The last thing we really need to do. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, I would love to have a really strong sub for every single player on the pitch. I think if we could get Todibo, it would be amazing. But yeah, I think centre back would be the only other position that I feel like we really need to focus on other than this. And if we can do that, I think we've absolutely smashed it. Like it would be an absolutely unbelievable window. And I'm really keen to hear what people think as well in terms of which positions we need. What do you reckon, Russ?
I think we're just a centre back away. I think if we assume these three are in, I think Duran coming in as well, and AVB. I can say AVB. Andre Villas-Boas is not playing right back for us now. Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I just think we're a centre back away from possibly the exact. Because if you said at the beginning what your wish list was, people would have said new right back, 2 centre halves, a midfielder, a left winger, and a striker. And we've got more than that because we'll end up with potentially with 2 strikers. 2 wingers with Luis Guilherme as well. We forget about Luis. I just think that second top-notch centre-back, although I like Manfred Panos, there's still a slight question mark over him in my idea. Epic made a good point. With his calculations, we only have room for 2 more non-homegrown with Guido and the Folk to fill. That means that to sign anyone else, no homegrown, we'll have to get rid of players. It is what it is. I fully expect us to get rid of people, whether it is Even someone might buy someone like a Cornet potentially in the French league, or there might be still interest in a Gerd, or I still think Zufal could go to Galatasaray. So there will be a little bit. Obviously, Somerville is a homegrown player, which is great for the quota. But yeah, it's going to be how it all works. It'll be interesting.
I think if we bring in another centre back as well, we probably do need to get rid of one of the centre backs. Otherwise, we're kind of hoarding players we're not going to use. So I think naturally it will make space for more players if we do bring others in.
And in terms of getting a proper squad, I mean, this is obviously slightly different than the last few years, and we haven't got Europe, so there are less games. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Lopetegui can work with the squad. So rather than have, which we've had previously, 11 men starters and then bit players.
Yeah,
it's a squad, and the likes of Alvarez and Rodriguez. We know Alvarez will be suspended. We know he's going to get injured sometimes, and then with Rodriguez to come in and support that role. There's what role does JWP and Souček have? We don't know yet, and so there's lots of questions which are going to be really interesting to when the season actually properly kicks off. And one man who's got all the answers is this man. What are the answers?
Sorry. Hello.
It's the Holy Trinity of the West Ham Network.
It is so. He's all right?
Yes, mate. Yes, mate.
What is going on? What is going on?
It's all going to be cray-cray, as the kids would say, isn't it?
Steidten Airways.
Steidten Airways. It is Steidten Airways. It's the only way to fly. It's all going to be.
I do. Do you know what? It has gone a bit mental, but I love the mannerisms in which it's getting done. As long as we get players in, and the players we're talking about, I love how literally when you're looking day to day on social media, they're not happening. It's happening. It's not happening. It's happening. It's literally been like the hokey cokey all the time. It really has, genuinely, like more than I've ever known. And I think there's a bit to do with I think Timmy Boy's got something to do with that.
Oh, most definitely. And just to follow up, Somerville is homegrown. He joined Leeds from Feyenoord when he was just turned 18, I believe, and so that's been confirmed by a Leeds fan when they were in the Premier League that he was classified as a homegrown player. So apparently he is homegrown. That's what.
Well, this guy's just come in there saying.
A Leeds fan said he was down as a homegrown player when they're in the Premier League when they got. So look, we'll see. We'll see what happens, mate. We'll see what happens.
One way to find out: rock, paper, scissors. For who's the
right exactly. One. Yeah. Well, you've got to be. The rule is you have to have played 3 years for an English club before you turn 21. And so we could figure that out. Right, what we got? Let's get some more comments. Zuma is going nowhere. You're totally right.
Yeah, it's homegrown. Sorry. Yeah, it's homegrown.
I thought it was.
Yeah, that's good.
Right. Mad day, guys. Who are we and what happened to West Ham? In it. As I said, we look back at last year and the lack of transfer movement until very much, we'd actually kicked off the season before we made our first signing to where we are now, 2nd of August. Potentially by, I'd say maybe Monday, we could have 2, if not all 3 signed.
Exciting.
Maybe 4 with Wan-Bissaka. We were saying it yesterday, weren't we, Anton? It's like, the old school, we'd always tend to sign players, like 2 of them at the same time. It was Di Canio and Foe. It was Margas and Razor Ruddock. It was Cartson and Kitson, and there'd be still but it's very rare that will happen. So, I mean, the West Ham social media team and the photographers are going to be very busy the next few days. That's for sure.
YouTube user, close your ears right now. Put your hands over your ears right now, because I genuinely believe Fullkrug could be one of just a shrewd piece of business by West Ham. I honestly believe it. I'm not beating about. I'm not bullshitting in any way at all. Like I genuinely think like his credentials, his history, his record, and then just obviously we've just saw a little bit of him in the Euros. we know what Borussia Dortmund have been doing. He's been a main kind of stay in that team. But when you watch him and when you try and compare him to, he kind of is your modern day typical English centre forward. Actually, not the old school centre forward, the typical modern day English centre forward. And someone says to me, "Who's a typical modern day centre forward?" Well, I'm saying Harry Kane, I suppose, is as modern in terms of the modern day centre forward. I'm not talking about. I don't think he's like an Ivan Toney. I don't think he's an Ollie Watkins. I think he is probably a kind of Kane-esque style striker as such. Clever on the ball, can shoot from distance. And yeah, I think he's a proven striker. So you know what, you go 40 million and you buy the 20. I think it's a shrewd piece of business because you've got 2 or 3 years of him, and we can't keep just fully focusing solely on so many youth players. I love it. I want that. That's great, but you do need that balance, that fine balance, and sometimes you need players that can just get you over the line. So as much as people were frustrated at when Lingard left, the shrewd piece of business was we brought Lingard in that got the job done. As frustrated as what people were when Dawson left, we brought Dawson in. It was a shrewd piece of business and got the job done. Now Souček hasn't left, but let's not forget that Souček started that. You know, that was the position we really needed at that time. Was that box to box midfielder who could do what Souček could do, and we brought Souček in, and no one will forget his first season and a half or 2 seasons that he gave to us at the start. He was phenomenal, but Fullkrug, I just think we could be getting him in his prime, and I think it could be a really good signing. I do agree with you as well, Russ. I do think Duran is coming in.
I think people think. Thing is, he's been Fullkrug is a late bloomer. He's a late bloomer. He didn't pull on the German shirt, an international shirt, until 18 months ago, and and again, I'm not putting. I mean, it's slightly different. It's like a few years on. But I mean, look. I mean, Ian Wright never. He was like 22, 23 when he got into football properly, and so these things happen. I think he's gonna be. And I don't know what it is about him, but I just want him to play for us. I don't know what it is. It just seems. I'm just thinking of Jack, bless him. Jack, mate, he could do the Oktoberfest videos with him, and I think it'd be brilliant. And I just really think I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all works, because I'm fascinated by it all. Because Somerville comes in, Luis Guilherme, what happens with him? Yeah, where does he fit? Are they gonna give him a year, and potentially, knowing that maybe someone like Kudus could move on next summer when he's obviously his thing kicks back in, gives Louis a year to sort of get him into English football, understand what's going on, and then can take over the mantle.
But the only other thing I could say to this is we're only been used to one way for such a long time.
Yeah.
And in actual fact, even before that, but we have been used to one way, right? And this is not like the last, 3 or 4 years has been one way. And even before that, it's been one way. This is the first real time I can honestly think of where this new model is taking place with West Ham. And anyway, that is it. But we've always gone on about how, and I've always gone on about how West Ham can't manage the expectations of players we bring in. So you go back to when we bring players like Chicharito in, and if you put Chicharito on the bench, he's not going to be happy. You bring Felipe Anderson in. If you put Felipe Anderson on the bench, he's not going to be happy. Sebastian Haller, blah, 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 Scamacca, blah, blah, blah. I don't doubt for a second that Lopetegui has spoken to all of these players that he's bringing in, and he's going, only 11 can play. I will utilise the squad, but if you believe in this project, our aim is to do this, and next year there's the real opportunity to do what we want to do. And I think you need the thing that we've been crying out for, holy shit, for such a long time, is strength and depth.
Yeah.
And how many times have we been hit by 3 players out? And we were hit last Christmas by 3 of our main score threats out. And that's where a Guilherme can step up if he really needs to and get a little bit of a advanced bit of play in the Premier League and a bit of experience, So I get it, But I think we've only been used to a certain way. And to be honest with you, as much as we don't actually know what he's going to do.
No.
We have no idea. And we still don't have any idea who's coming in. We think we do. But there's probably going to be a couple of more surprises in there.
No doubt. I mean, as I said, X said when I was talking the other day, he did say they've got a couple of players who I don't know we're after. They won't tell me, and apparently Rodriguez was one of them. So there's another one under their up their sleeve. Apparently,
exciting.
And we don't know, and we do. And this was kept. The Rodriguez one was kept under wraps because they heard about Barcelona. It was fucking up with Barcelona, and they didn't want that to be leaked out. And that's what happens. And that's what ITKs don't get the news that they want to, that the actual news. They get the news that they are given. And so that's why the Rodriguez deal has come out of relative nowhere. It's been worked on the last couple of weeks, apparently. But we didn't know about that. I think you're right. The reverse of being spoiled, we were starved of that sort of modern way of playing football in terms of utilising the full squad. Look, Foden's not guaranteed starter every game. Grealish doesn't start every game. One or two players start every game, or pretty much, but even Haaland might be on the bench sometimes. So it's utilising the squad properly. And it's rather than having 11 players on the pitch and having an 11-man squad, which basically what we had last year. This is a 3-man squad, which we can interchange.
Yeah, and add these players to what we've got, and then when you start to look at our starting 11, you're only really adding in 2 or 3 of the new signings ish, right? Give or take a couple, which pleases me because we were only, in terms of the starting 11, in my opinion, 2 or 3 players away from being from where we ended up to where we could have been. So, but if you bring in 6 or 7 quality and quantity, which is desperately needed, then that's why it looks more exciting. So a player like Rodriguez, is a late bloomer coming into Europe. He came in mid-20s. But I can understand people's frustration as well.
Totally.
YouTube user, I thought it should be slagging off. I can understand. I get it. He's on the wrong side of 30, and that's what people don't want. But you're bringing in a seasoned pro who's experienced in Europe, who's came from South America, who's done a job and been up there in La Liga and just gone under the radar. But by going under the radar has been regular within reason at Argentina. And Argentina, who won a World Cup, and Argentina, who have won the Copa America, albeit he only played 1 game, I think, in the Copa America. But
he played an hour in the World Cup, but it doesn't matter. He's another World Cup winner.
Still counts.
Yeah. So I just think the point of the matter is that if you're replacing an Alvarez and you're bringing on a Rodriguez, then that's in theory better than what we were doing before. As such, and we lost Alvarez, didn't we? Remember last season as well? Because
we'll lose him.
Yeah,
he'll get cards.
Yeah.
A central defensive midfielder, you're going to get injured. You're going to pick up knocks. You're going to get suspended. And it was the games where he wasn't playing where I think we lost a lot of ground because JWP and Souček can't play that role. They're not CDM. Where Rodriguez comes in and a CDM. If Rodriguez has got a knock as well, you've got Freddie Potts.
Yeah.
So we've got multiple players in multiple positions.
Also, being able to have such depth in the numbers that we're bringing in as well, I think can only be a good thing because previously where we kind of had maybe 1 or 2 players that wanted to be in the starting 11, felt that they deserved to be in that starting 11, but were on the bench. I think they almost felt singled out. And then you heard about all these players being frustrated that they weren't being played. But then you look at the likes of Man City and you've got Foden and Grealish who are perfectly happy being bench warmers because it's not seen as a bad thing and they're able to rotate how they need. And I think that's the kind of model that if we can bring that in at West Ham where it's not a bad thing to be in the squad but not in the typical starting 11 because we can rotate and we can give game time, I think suddenly you have a very different situation where players aren't unhappy because they're in the starting 11. And we've almost brought players in saying, well, they're not going to be in the starting 11 so they won't stay for long. Like people are worried from the very beginning that someone's coming in that either they're going to be in the starting 11 or they're not going to be happy. And I don't think that's a good mindset to have as a club. So I'm really hoping that this is a start of us having numbers and actually having a team that works really closely together for the benefit of what's good for West Ham at that moment in time against that opposition, not just egos wanting 11 players to be on the pitch.
Yeah.
Can I just address this comment though from Gary? Like, the one thing I will say is about, and I think it happens with a lot of South American teams, is that there are a lot of players that do get caps for the international side, and are more probably in South America than any other country. I think if you were to look at the history of Brazilian players that get caps, it trumps probably England's players. Same as Argentina, they have historically regularly switched over all the time. The difference between, I suppose, Rodriguez and other players that don't is he's always a regular. He's always been a bit of a regular in that. So I agree with your comment there. So I think if you're selected for your national team, doesn't always mean you're a great player, but I think the difference is he's regularly there and regularly done it. And listen, he's not been on the top of my tongue ever. Like I couldn't necessarily say I sit there and go, I remember him. I would be absolutely bullshitting you and saying I remember him, but because I don't. But he just seems to be one of those under the radar players. Goes about his business and very highly thought of in at Betis, wherever he is.
Exactly, and I think he's one of those players as well that that you look back at decent teams at West Ham and players that just got on and did a job, and I think he comes on and does a job. Hayden Mullins, he came on and did a job, and then when he wasn't playing, you're thinking, why is it not working? And you need those types of players in there. And in terms of the ego stuff, that's where it comes to the head coach. And as I said, Lopetegui, he's been a Spanish coach, so international coach. He's been a coach for Real Madrid. He's been a coach for Sevilla. He's worked with some very volatile players, and that experience, this is why we hopefully will have a very strong squad by the end of the transfer window. Our friend, your friend of mine, YouTube user, has asked a question, so I thought we'd do it. Why is it not opening? Sorry. The question is, who leaves? Who leaves? We can't have Ings, Antonio, Duran, and the Monoric geriatric folk. You really got to stop. You got the splinters right up your ass.
I love it.
Stop being on the fence about how you think about the folk.
Yeah.
But it's true though. We'll end up a situation where we've got from having clearly Duran and Falkert will be the 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Right. I can see.
Antonio right back.
Well, if no one signs Ings, honestly, I could see West Ham paying his contract off. Or it'll be like a loan deal and pay half his wages or 3/4 of his wages. West Ham will lose out on the Danny Ings situation. With all due respect to Danny Ings, that again depends if we bring in Duran. But like you said, Russ, I mean, Cornet could go. But again, we just don't fucking know what's really going to go.
But that's the trouble. Yeah, it does. As I said, I'm going to get a T-shirt. It takes 2 because, as I always say, it takes 2 to transfer, and it does. And we've clearly got Cornet ready to. If you want him, he's yours. Ings, if you want him, he's yours. Antonio, at a decent price, he's yours. And we know with Zuma and Agerd. Although Agerd doesn't look like he wants to leave.
Agerd doesn't look like he wants to leave.
No.
I don't know if I believe he looks honestly the happiest he's ever been. And I know we're just judging that based upon videos and pictures. He genuinely looks extremely happy. And do you know who else does look really happy? Zuma. Like he looks really happy.
Of course he is. He's on 125 grand a week. I'd be fucking happy if I was 125 grand a week.
But then that defunks what you're thinking about Agerd. That'd be fair.
I think he's. If you look in terms of if we need to sell, because we do have a 25-man squad, and so if we need to sell players, in terms of assets, the ones you're going to get a decent return for will be Agerd, possibly Souček.
Yeah, but he's not
made JWP.
Let's be brutally honest here. I don't think he wants to sell Agerd. The only way Agerd goes if Agerd wants to leave. I don't think he probably wants to sell Souček. I don't think Lopetegui wants to sell him because having Souček as a squad player is a very good choice.
Yeah,
people might think it's fucking mental, but it is. Again, you could throw him on, do what you need to do, League Cup game, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff.
Again, though, in terms of the finances, I suppose, like, if we've got so many centre-backs that one of them needs to go, and you look at Zuma and Aged, naturally we'd all say get rid of Zuma because Aged is going to be better for us moving forwards. But then the question is, do you want to get rid of Aged so you can get some money back, so you can invest it elsewhere and have Zuma as like a proper backup? Or do you just get rid of Zuma so you've got a stronger backup there? So there's so much to consider when it comes to who you're getting rid of, I think, in terms of the money and where you can spend it elsewhere as well on the pitch, because we're spending.
I know the player I'm going to mention is not going, but I'm still calling it. My jury's still out on Mavropanos. We've just needed the season to settle in, but I'm not absolutely don't think he is going to be West Ham's starting centre back. And the only way I see Dinos being West Ham's starting centre back is if it's a guaranteed partnership with Kilman, and Kilman. Dinos's role is simply to be like what Ogbonna was to Winston Reid before Ogbonna became better, not being horrible, but that is exactly what happened when he first came to the club. Listen, I do need to go, but there's one thing I want to say is I do agree with some of the comments in there as well. Like, I am excited. I absolutely am excited. But I'm also willing to give this squad an opportunity to gel. So therefore, if we do get beat 3 or 4 games in the first 10 or 6 or 8, like, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. I don't want that, but I'm fine with that. I'm going to let it breathe. I'm going to let the team settle. That's what we're going to have to do. You know, we've gone through a big transition, and all these new players coming in is going to be a big transition. So I don't think they're going to hit key off from the start. How good and amazing would it be if they did? But it's going to be.
Where are we going to finish, Anton? Where are we going to finish? If all this rumours are true, where are we going to finish, mate?
So if all the rumours are true, we're bringing in all these players and Duran, and we keep a Gerd. Then I can't see why we can't aim for top 6, because I'm saying that on the basis of the fact that we're keeping a strong core of the team. I don't want. Let's just, for talking sake, say everyone in the chat's going to say. Let's just say everyone says Zuma, Agerd, Cornet, Suchek, Antonio, Ings go. They are not all going.
No, they can't.
Right.
No one wants
Agerd people would probably want, you know. But I think the point is, we're signing players, but I don't see a humongous over thing of the players as well. We weren't even talking about James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you know, where does he? You know, Andy Irving, exactly.
Where are we putting him? That is the main question.
Exactly. I mean, it's just it's
carry on.
Go on, see you later.
But I'm going to let you carry on. Bye.
Yeah, you just didn't. He did answer. But anyway, right? Okay. Darren asked, "Come on, Holly, where are we going to finish? If the rumours are to be believed, and say we assume that they're coming, you know, we're getting next 4 or 5 players in. Where are we finishing?
I'm going to say, are we saying we've got Duran as well?
Yeah, fuck it.
7th. Finishing 7th.
7th.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get some European football back. That's get back into European football. What are you saying? Where are we finishing if we've got Duran as well as these guys?
If we don't get into Europe, it'll be a poor season.
Yeah,
I think that's the way, and that might be in the cup. That might be finishing in the top 7. But realistically, with no Europe as well, playing quite often 1 game weeks with the squad, with the options off the bench as well. They're really, and as I said, we weren't a million miles away of not qualifying last year. To be honest, it was only, as I said, if we'd conceded 15 less goals, I reckon we'd be in Europe this year. That's how close it really was by the end. When you think about some of the games we let slip, we weren't a million miles away either. So yeah, I'd say
depth as well. So I think this is where, if we've got a player that's not in form, if we have a solid person that can come on and replace them or give them a run for their money, or even just keep the competition high so that everyone's fighting for their place in this team, I think this is those fine margins that will get us the 3 points instead of the 1, or get us the 1
Yeah.
point instead of the 0 where we've lost it at the last moment. I think these are going to be the fine margins that make that difference of that last 3, 4, 5 spots and can get us European football next season. I'm seeing a lot of the comments as well. I don't know if anyone realised, but YouTube user thinks that Fullkrug's quite old.
I love him. We had him on yesterday.
So I think
he's gone.
Everyone's argument that doesn't want Fullkrug, I'm really interested to hear if anyone's got a different argument for not wanting Tim, but I assume it is his age. And that was my initial response when I saw how old he was. I was like, oh, like I really wanted us to build a squad for the future and bring in players that were going to have long term. And I think bringing in Fullkrug, if he was younger, for most of the people, I might be completely wrong, so drop a comment if I am wrong. If he was younger, it wouldn't be such a concern bringing him in because he is expensive. And I think that price tag combined with being nearly 32 in February scares people. And it scared me as well. But I think older players are only actually a problem when you're not planning ahead. As long as they're not injury prone, there's nothing wrong with them. They're not starting to slow down. If you are planning ahead and seeing them as a short-term solution for 1, 2, maybe 3 seasons, and in the background, you're doing the work to get the next striker in, which I imagine Tim Steidten would be doing. I think he could be the answer. Because if he's got the skill set that we need, it doesn't matter whether he's 22 or 32. I think he can still do the job that we need. And if the fitness shows that there's no reason that he's going to suddenly drop in form or not have the pace, I don't think that age is such an issue short term.
When with a player who's never really relied on pace as well throughout his whole career. Teddy Sheringham never relied on pace and plays till he was 39, for us, and did very well for us. Granted, he had a season in the Championship, but even when we got promoted, still did a good job. I think it's one of those wing things where I think time will tell.
Yeah.
As always, some of it was great. Some of them might end up being shit for us, but the chances are less likely to be that than maybe an older player. But regardless of that, we're only going to know in a year's time if we're back in Europe and say the Folk's got 15 goals for a season.
Yeah.
And those goals have got us into Europe.
Yeah.
And same as, and I appreciate there is a different price tag between signing Craig Dawson and signing the Folk. But when he signed, we had Watford fans basically laughing at us for taking their worst player.
Yeah.
And he became a cult hero. I think I think Folk's got all the credentials of being a cult hero at West Ham.
Yeah.
And I really hope he does. And obviously I'll back him and then so it works out, But in Tim we trust, as always.
Every player can be completely different at a different club as well. I honestly think the way that they're played, the confidence that they have, they can go from being like Craig Dawson did at Watford. Basically, no one appreciated him. Watford fans were taking a mickey out of us for signing him.
Yeah.
And then we miss him now. Like, he was that good for us. You'd have never seen that turnaround. But just going to a different club, playing in a different place, playing with a different team can make a massive difference as well. So I don't think that's an issue. And I think this comment here kind of sums it up, because for me, our next goal needs to be getting European football. And at that point, we're then going to have the pool to get younger, fitter, more expensive, bigger names, people that are going to be more of a long-term future. But I think we can't run before we can walk. We're going to have to build our way back to European football. And then the job is going to be to secure Europa League and then aim for Champions League. You've got to work your way up gradually. Obviously, I know that Champions League might be a little bit ambitious at the moment, but we can't expect players wanting to sign for us when they can go elsewhere for Champions League football. So I think,
totally right.
We've got to fire for players that are realistic and that can do what we need to get Europe.
I think we underestimated not having European football as a fan base. We've been spoilt relatively, having Europe 3 years in a row. We got used to it. We could get the likes of Paqueta. We could get the likes of Alvarez, Kudus. I very much doubt we'd have got them this summer if we were looking, because Ajax could have offered them more other. So I think we've really sort of underestimated the pool that Europe has, particularly for players from abroad. They want to come to the Premier League, but they want to play in the top, in European competitions and stuff like that. Yes, we could offer them wages, but we couldn't offer them Europe. I think people have got to remember, when people go, "Oh, who's this fucking idiot we're signing. Lopetegui's contract is set up in a way that he doesn't get a third year unless we get into Europe in the first 2 years. So his goal is to get European football as quickly as possible, because then that gets him a third year, and that gets automatically. So look, we'll have to wait and see. As I said, I know YouTube users getting Fullkrug 9 on the back of his shirt when the new season starts, because he loves him so much. So yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be really interesting what happens. John asked a very important question: how was the cinema? Yes, it was great. Thanks. I was on my own.
Is it Deadpool?
Saw Deadpool versus whatever it was. Well, that's the one, Wolverine. Yes, I took myself on my own to the cinema.
Nice, no shame in that.
Without Mrs. Budden and Florence, because they're in Portugal. Very strange. And I used one of my free tickets from my Sky cinema subscription, so you get 2 free tickets. So only cost me £1.50 because I upgraded to a VIP seats. You know, that's how I roll. Yes, it was very good. It was very good. Good film, really good film. Really good film.
Yeah. The fight sequences to songs is something that a lot of films are missing out on, I've realised.
It's reminiscent. Have you seen Bullet Train?
No, I haven't.
Go and see that. Watch it tomorrow with Dan, particularly as a West Ham fan.
Yeah.
Bullet Train. It'll be on Netflix. It'll be on, it's been out a while. But in terms of fight scenes to music, I think that's bloody good. And particularly with a West Ham fan as well, you'll appreciate the music choices.
Nice. Okay, right. Noted. Add to this Bullet Train.
To the Mrs. Deadpool. There you go. You've taken. Well done. Very good.
John, did you enjoy it?
It was very good. Did you stay to the end, John? Did you stay right to the end?
Yeah, there were two end bits. You always know with Marvel movies, you can't leave till the lights turn on, because otherwise I don't know what's happening. But how many people are involved, going off on a proper tangent, in the making of these films? It felt like an eternity. I don't know how many names there were there, but it was quite.
Well, what's his name was in there, wasn't it? Paul Mullin was in it. He played the Welsh Paul. Oh, could you imagine being like a Wrexham player and you can just come in my movie?
Yeah.
Hell, mate. All right, mate.
Wear a Welsh flag.
What was your cinema of choice, Russ? Well, usually, I have 3. I went to the Romford View, because it was just down the road. I like the lakeside view, but also I like Basildon's what's the one in Basildon? But they do the 4DX, where you sit in the seat and get it's like a roller coaster. We saw the Minion or Despicable Me 4 last week in 4DX, and it's like this. The best one, I took Jo to see Top Gun, and she was sick on the way home because she had motion sickness. Costs a bit more, but it's brilliant. It's really good. Bullet Train, lots of bubble. Oh, don't tell Holly. That's a spoiler alert. Anyway, not the premiere in. That's a shit one. Alex is a big film buff. So that's good. What Deadpool would you guys be? Oh, good question. I would be Kebab Paul.
I really like Christmas time. I'm going to be Christmas Paul.
Christmas Paul. Nice. Quimbo Paul. I tell you what, sad today. I went into Oh My God, as everyone knows, Friday's kebab night at the Budden household, regardless of just me or the whole family. Went in today, and the lady went, "Oh, it's been a mistake, Russ. Sorry, they've only put through one mixed kebab." And I went, "No. I'm on my own. Oh, by myself."
In though, one on its own.
I know. She's like,
lonely kebab.
Are you right? Oh, yeah. Just on my own.
My kebab.
Apparently, you have lovely teeth, Holly. Very well done.
Thank you. Greedy's
There
myself.
you go. Oh, very good. Right. It was Fullkrug. We did. And we were someone that, and I went back, and I believe he was one of the last players that Tim Steidten signed when he was at Werder Bremen as director of football. About 3 months before he went to Bayer Leverkusen. Apparently, Matthew McConaughey played the cowboy Deadpool in the film.
I didn't know that. He's got his whole family. Did you know that Blake Lively was in there as the lady Deadpool, and apparently his kids were the baby and the kid that mouths off at him, Deadpool's
That
He's got
saves
the
the
whole
what's name.
family.
That saves the nanny fees.
Exactly.
Can we hire Deadpool to shoot Fullkrug? No. I'll be Dog Paul, Noodle Paul, West Ham Paul. Want to see Anton as Scottish Paul.
Scottish Bull.
Scottish Paul. My family used to own a kebab place near. Was that the Charcoal Grill YouTube user? That was the one near one. Jesus, that's what's going on. I don't know. This is what happens on a Friday. It just descends. It just descends into chaos. We went from the smallest squad now to a beast of a team. Great options. Up and coming youth, loving this new look. Great time to be a West Ham fan. In Tim Steidten, we trust indeed, Scott. And you're right. We've got sort of the, to give it a film reference, we've got the supporting cast of the academy. We've got Freddie Potts, we've got George Earthy, we've got Caelan Casey, we've got Lewis Orford, Ollie Scarles is out there, Junior Robinson's out there. We've got the next, Gideon Kadoa, Marshall. We've got some players there who will be brought in as and when. Obviously, they don't have to be, apart from Freddie, because he's over 21 or whatever. The rest don't have to be included in the squad. So, it's exciting times.
Ian here just heard that West Ham have made an offer for every footballer in the world.
It's
do it. Some of them will say yes.
We're at 100. I think we're at 100. Last time I checked, if I put Rodriguez in my list, I don't know. Let me quick check. We're at 185 players. Ezra Mayers, Ezra Mayers. I think he's more like he's the next group. He'll be the next group coming through with Emenike, Josh Ajala, and stuff like that. So there's plenty of coming through. We have Ian, and we're getting all of them. Okay. Oh, sorry. Reference to Ian makes sense.
No, the Ians. We have all
Poor
the Ian.
Poor Ian. But no, I suppose it's a case now of just waiting for the social media, post, waiting for them to misspell the players' names. God exactly. God rest David Gold putting the wrong player and welcoming them. Yes, we'll have. Well, Somerville will be able to say "come on your irons" properly. Rodriguez will be irons. Fullkrug, I reckon, will be irons as well. So
it's a fun game. You see how they're gonna say irons.
Well, that's what I remember doing last year. I remember last year, not the year before last, when we signed all those players. I did a sort of "come on your irons" and put them in as one video. So we'll probably have to do that again at the end of the transfer window. But I think that was the only bit of English that Luis Guilherme could say was "come on your irons" or something like that, or irons.
Mad Max here saying about the fact that the signings that we've been making are actually in key positions, which feels quite rare at West Ham, doesn't it? The amount of times we need a left winger and we sign everybody but a left winger, or just confuse the situation further by bringing in more midfielders that can't play there. So I feel like this is amazing that we're actually getting the people that we need in right now.
It's crazy, and it actually gives you a sense of we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Which it's always seemed a bit not the way at all, but it actually does seem a bit like we know what we're doing now. So we've got someone who's very clever, and we've got somebody who I've said he's an evil genius. I wouldn't play him at chess in terms of Tim Steidten. He seems to be 3 moves ahead. He seems to know how to manipulate the media for his own game, and so. Yeah, it could be. I think if we don't announce anything on Saturday, we won't have them on. They don't work on a Sunday, so it'll be. So then you'll probably see it on Monday instead. But thank you to Damien. Thank you very much. £10, very nice.
Legend. Thank you.
That's a kebab, a drink each. Thank you very much. Do you know what? I don't drink a lot. I'm not like a alcohol drinker. Are you? I don't. I want to think you were.
I'm really boring actually. But yeah, this is really boring. I'm a bit of a water drinker. literally, I get so thirsty at the moment that I'm just downing pints of water. That's the most dull thing I've ever said. I'm actually ashamed that I've just said that out loud with this many people watching this video.
With a total of 1,100 people on the stream across Twitter and YouTube. I just down a pint of water. God dear.
Do you know what I do like? An espresso martini.
Oh,
that's my beverage of choice.
Well, I got a FaceTime call today from Flo and Joe at the Villa, and Flo's like, guess what? Mummy's taught me how to make an Aperol spritz for her now. So basically, right. So Flo is now the bartender at the. I was like, you lazy fucker, getting your 12-year-old daughter to make your Aperol spritzes, And it's like she's discovered this in this last year. It's like, but it's been going for years, Aperol spritzes. But she's like, have you heard of this drink? It's like, oh my god. I've just come in for a night on the beer. What's the latest? Latest is. It sounds like what we're led to be believed. Somerville, everything done and dusted, should be announced tomorrow.
Yeah.
Both parts of the medical have been done. We've also Peltenberg has said that the fee for the Folk has been agreed. And that could be announced. I imagine that's probably more likely to be Monday, to be honest. And Guido Rodriguez from free transfer, formerly Real Betis, Argentine international midfielder, looks like that could be done and dusted tomorrow as well.
Quite Friday night.
Not too bad. And old Kate, whether the BMX, she finished last in the final. She was like the best one. I watched the BMX final. I thought she was going to smash it. Unbelievable.
Sure, I've just seen this because Dan's watching from the other room. We've got like a 2-litre bottle of Grey Goose that I've been making my way through over years and years. I got it from my old work actually as a Christmas present, and it is absolutely massive. Stitched me up.
Yeah, we've still got I think for my 40th, I think Charlie bought me this massive bottle of a Magnum bottle and it's just there.
Yeah,
and
that's what this one is. It's just there. It's part of a
But you can't. But it's unlike vodka. You can't sort of open it. I tell you what was good. The Beer 52 drinks, the Beer 52 beers. I'll have a couple of them occasionally. They are very good. And more importantly, when's the club going to announce Andy Irvine? I'm still waiting for any day. He's actually been interviewed on the club website before the club have officially announced his party. He's joining. Mental.
I feel like they need to do that. Like the admin needs to go, you know what? This is ridiculous. Let's do the announcement video now.
It's a bizarre thing, and I thought as part of that, it was like a player exchange. So the likes of Freddie Potts could go over to Flankenburg and be loaned out there, but I haven't seen anyone go over there. It's very strange. Stephen, good afternoon to you. Interesting times indeed. Come on, Rusty boy, says John Brown.
Yes.
Come on. What we got? Anything? We'll probably get here we go tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, Fabrizio hasn't said, and we know Fabrizio is being very cautious with "here we go" statements when it comes to West Ham now. He's here we go to Rodriguez. So I'm just waiting for him to here we go, Fullkrug, and then obviously YouTube user will get the t-shirts printed, the big banners. Here comes the Folk. Looking forward to that. But yeah, because I mean, after tomorrow, the next friendly will be the Betway Cup, won't it? And then after that, it's Villa. I've only got just over 2 weeks now.
Yeah, it's not long at all. It's coming around really quickly. I'm excited. I feel like I want to see more of the team to understand how we're playing, but it's going to come with time. And similar to what Anton was saying, I'm going to be patient. Like, I know we all want to see us hit the ground running, but I'm also aware that we've got new players, a new system. It might not be the most smooth thing we've ever seen when the season starts, but I've got belief that we should have all the right things in the right place and we should get better and better as the season goes on. So I hope this is the one.
I hope
it kills you, but we go again. Exactly.
He loves to play the salsa. He certainly does. Fullkrug, very good. He's AW. Oh, fucking hell, Russ. He's AWB close. Yes, apparently so. And the fact is, he's in the States. I mean, he played against played for Man U in San Diego the other day. So, yeah, is the Duran deal dead? No, apparently not. Apparently not. Apparently the signing of Rodriguez on a free is to reallocate that money to getting Duran, who apparently Villa have lessened it to about 30 million now. I think it was something like that, and they're looking to get João Felix in, and they need to sell before they can buy. So,
you excited about Duran?
Yes, I know he's going to fuck us over in 2-3 years' time, but what do we expect? He's fucked over Villa.
Yeah,
and it's happened before. Dimitri Payet, he basically went on strike at Marseille to force the deal to West Ham, and then when he does the same to us, we're up in arms.
I can't believe it.
It's like the red flag is showing, but I don't care because actually we know what we're going to get, and I think if we get a similar situation to the Folk, if we get him, say he bags 15 goals next season, gets us into Europe, does another 15 goals, and then fucks off to Arsenal or goes to Atletico Madrid or something like that, and we double our money on him, which you would do. That's the only because so that's fine by me.
Yeah.
By then it's another 2 years, and then by that you look at someone maybe like Callum Marshall. He'd obviously be stepping up more. You've got Josh Ajala in the 18s. He'll be in the 21s next year. A lot of hope about him. David Chigueda, the guy we got from Man City. A lot of interest about him. Bit of a coup for us. So, that's fine by me. That's fine by me.
Yeah, love this as well. We just want more and more, don't we? Get a few signings, we're like, more. I want more.
We are. Yeah, we are. Yeah. I saw a Tottenham fan website on Twitter basically went, how the fuck is West Ham going to have this side? And obviously there's a big debate obviously internally in the fan base in terms of concessions and season tickets at West Ham, but it's the same with Tottenham. And Levy's up the price ridiculously, and look at the squad that West Ham are going to get, and it's it's nice being on the right side of a.
I have the pleasure of having quite a few Spurs supporting friends, and they're up in arms massively. I think the concessions, their season tickets and everything have gone up ridiculous. Like ours have gone up ridiculous amounts, but theirs have gone up like to a whole new level. They're fuming as well. So yeah, they've got a lot going on. But
everyone is. I mean, look at Man City. I think Man City wanted to charge disabled places £260 a season to park at the Etihad or something like that.
That's
ridiculous.
So
Absolutely ridiculous. Righty then.
Saying about being optimistic and trusting Tim, but signing Fullkrug is the demoralised types. But I have a question, YouTube user. What about the other signings? Have they done anything to balance it out slightly to make you think that maybe, even if maybe we don't quite see what Tim is seeing in Fullkrug, that there could be other things that might benefit us that he's doing in the background? I'm intrigued. Let us know.
Possibly. While we've got so many people here, just as a bit of a heads up, next Thursday is you remember it from last season. Gates is in the chat as well. The big debates. That is basically it's like question time for West Ham. We get Gatesy is your. I don't know who does question time anymore, but he's your host, and there'll be a bunch of West Ham fans and your opportunity to ask questions, and they debate the questions and that type of thing. About an hour or so, and we are pleased to announce that Holly is going to be on there from the West Ham Network, amongst some others. People like Jazz and people like that. That's the people Gates usually gets on. It's really good fun. We're going to put some posts out on the community page and on Twitter, and Gates as well, for you to put your questions already in, or if you're feeling a bit brave, send us in a little video, 30-second video or so with your questions. It's the West Ham Network at gmail.com, and that'd be good fun. And then what will happen as well is we'll then afterwards, so we'll have the big debate on the West Ham Network, and then there'll be the aftermath where Gatesy will do a little show on the West Ham Massive, talking about some of the main points.
Yes,
sort of a extra.
Fun. Cannot wait.
Be good fun.
Get the questions in. Get the difficult questions in as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Here, same what we were saying. You know what Duran's going to do, but in the meantime, we will love him until he betrays us.
He is, and like, don't forget, like the likes of Arnautovic. Arnautovic, he was a bastard, but he was our bastard,
Yeah.
and you knew what he was going to do. He did the same thing when he was at Stoke to come to West Ham. We look at, the only reason we got fucking Di Canio because he pushed over a ref. Do you know what I mean? So we're all very, I'm partial to a bastard. I like a bastard, and I think it gives you a bit of bite as a side as well. It gives you someone that the crowd, the away team, or if you're playing away, the home crowd will really boo against, and I love that. I love that animosity. We had it with Sam Allardyce. I remember we went to Burnley away, and obviously they hate Allardyce because he used to manage Blackburn, and the team, and obviously Burnley is obviously you have to walk across the pitch from the to get to the dugout, and the whole team, both sides had gone, and I couldn't see Fat Sam, and he was about 20 paces behind everyone, literally his own procession, just waving to everyone, and everyone was booing, and I love that. I love that. I love it. Having a bit of personality in this game. Yeah, he might fuck us over, but I don't care.
Who's more likely to leave, Antonio or Ings? I think it's got to be Ings. I know that we've wanted someone to replace Antonio for a very long time, but you can't deny the fact that when he is called upon, some of the time he will do a decent enough job for us. And if we've got multiple strikers that are going to be ahead of him, I think squad-wise, bang on, like perfect in terms of. But then again, he might add value. We might be able to sell him on. There'd probably be more interest in him.
I think you're more likely to get rid of Antonio than Ings, in all honesty, just because Antonio is one of those really unique players that there's not many of them around in the game. I'm surprised the Saudi Pro League, like someone from the Saudi Pro League, haven't put him from properly. I think he'd go, or the MLS. I think he'd go. He seems the type of player who you'd imagine would play for Inter Miami or someone like that, and he'll just how he lives his life. And obviously, particularly Jamaica play a lot of the games in America, so I think they're more likely than Ings. Yeah, this is a good point by Chris, definitely.
Yeah, selling him after the Villa game so that they can't give us an upper hand. Can be done. Can they sometimes sign a player, but there's an agreement in there that they can't play?
We had this debate yesterday, actually, because we did it, and I was wrong with the team, but we did it when we sold Snodgrass to Fat Sam at West Brom. And apparently there was a gentleman's agreement that he wasn't going to be playing in the game the following week. Apparently that's illegal, or you can't really do that. So no, so you can't actually have that. So it would be a case, I can imagine they would say yes after, but it depends how desperately they need to bring players in. There's talk of them bringing in João Felix, and they obviously need money for that. And getting 30 million quid from us would be useful. I still think we might even be tricky and try and do loan with obligation, because it's sort of like buy now, pay later. And Villa might just want him off the books just because of how he is.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be just as good. Ooh, confidence. The confidence in the Fulk. Top tier striker, and he will finally end our striker curse. Top player. There are very split opinions on the Fulk, I have to say. People that want him, people that don't want him. Season's going to start, and then we'll find out. Then we will find out. Temporary fix. Did you see the fight against Argentina and France?
He kicked off a bit, in the football. Ooh. In the football, he kicked off a little bit. But in Argentina, it's kicked off with them. And was it them in Morocco? Wasn't it the first game? Like right at the beginning of the Olympics, when there was a pitch invasion and the goal got disallowed, and there was crowd trouble, and it hasn't gone without incident in the football. But there was a fight today apparently.
Okay. There you go. YouTube user cited by Guillaume in Somerville.
So we all agree on that one, my friend.
Do indeed.
I can see it.
Okay, there you go. That's what we were saying. A lot of people not convinced, but perhaps he could become a cult hero. The Dawson.
And they did get to his goals did fire them to the Champions League final. In essence, in terms of, look at these three signings that potentially come in. You've got Somerville, Championship Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. You've got Rodriguez, World Cup winning, and won the recent Copa America, and you've got Falk, who's Champions League final last season. These aren't pearls. These aren't like from third division Scandinavian leagues, but they're guys who can come in and will improve the squad from day one.
Yeah. All the years of stress at West Ham as well, especially when you get a bit excited about a player that you could be bringing in, you almost want to protect yourself by not getting your hopes up, don't you? Like if we can pull off all of these signings, it's incredible. Like years ago, I'd have said there's not a chance. Like we will never pull that off. So I really, really hope we can just get all these deals over the line and start a new way of doing business, because it feels like that is happening gradually. And
it seems other clubs do a similar thing, just get stuff done. I think Bournemouth have done quite well, but again, we don't know. I could go to the guys on on the ball and ask them how many players you've been linked with, but we only obviously see the players that they've signed. I think Bournemouth have done very well. I think Forest have done very well. Jota, very good signing. Milenkovic, two very good players. Obviously, we were linked with, but they would have probably been linked. I remember we asked Kendall, the Newcastle fan. She reckons they've been linked to over 100 players, Newcastle. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility, really, in terms of what we do.
Dan's got a question for you, Russ.
Oh, okay. All right. Wait.
Starting 11 is tricky at the moment.
It is going to be tricky. It is going to be tricky, I think, in terms of who it is. I think there's going to be that. That's why I was looking at the type of players we'd be linked with, and I'm just not too. You see, let's go interactive. Fuck it, let's go interactive. Yes. Let's have it. Yes. Let's go interactive. Now I did this afternoon, but I might have changed my opinion. I don't know. Right. Okay, Dan. Right. I think it's pretty simple. Areola in goal. Nothing controversial about that.
Nice.
All right. Let's go non-controversial ones. Emerson, assuming he signs.
Wan-Bissaka, nice.
Yeah, and then Kilman, and then at the moment it's probably going to be Mav, in it.
Yeah.
Now that Mav spot will change. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Whether it is him, whether it is Talibo, whether it is Joe Gomez, whether it is Soulé, whether it is someone else we don't even know about yet.
Yeah.
Quite possibly. Right. And I think I was talking to Ken Hammers about it the other day. He was going, go play three at the back. But I think if you play three at the back, I think someone misses out. I think it has to be four for what we need. Then you've got Alvarez, of course. Not controversial there. Actually, I'm going to put him there. And then for me, then he drops in. Paqueta goes in there then. I think that's his better role for West Ham.
Yeah.
I think that's the role he plays for Brazil as well. And I think he's wasting the left-hand side at West Ham. And then, if we're led to be believed, Somerville on the left.
Yeah.
Kudus in the middle.
Yeah.
Bone on the right. And then the Falk or Duran in the middle.
Nice.
And that is
starting
fucking 11. Good side.
That is beautiful side.
And that's what's interesting with the whole thing. Whether people were talking about whether the Falk was going to be a smokescreen for Duran, and they're such different players. I don't think he was ever going to be a smokescreen. I think it was always going to be a case of getting both of them in because they're very different players. And I think Duran gives you just that four. That four would be scary in terms of pace, really scary. The thing that excites me is and I showed this today. Is actually let's make that triangle a little bit smaller. Is that that's what excites me because you had last year you had Paqueta, Emerson, Benrahma when he played, and just the way they played together in triangles was brilliant. Now you've got the overlap of Somerville and Emerson with Paqueta sort of putting these little passes in. That's what really excites me. really excites me about this year.
Because then we can attack down both wings. Oh.
Yeah.
And Paqueta can just link up play as well so nicely in the middle, and he can push up and he can drop
back. He'll do that. These guys will play. It will be like almost like three at the back, because that's how sort of he plays. He almost plays like a third man in midfield, in defence. And then Paqueta's there, and then it gives you the option sometimes to do to do that.
Yeah, I'd be scared going against that lineup. I would not be looking forward to playing against that. The pace that we've got
in running up as well. And if you see Somerville, if you've watched how he plays, when the ball's on the right hand side, this is the area he sort of sits. So he sits almost like a 10 when the ball's in on the right hand side. So to overload the box, I think it's very exciting. I'm very excited.
It is indeed. Just seeing someone saying this, but I'm just confirming whether or not this has officially happened.
I'll be surprised if I was surprised if he's still up, to be honest. Fabrizio Romano.
14 minutes ago, both set for medicals. Fullkrug and Rodriguez. Verbal agreements. So yeah.
He said, "Here we go."
He has. He's here.
YouTube user, start getting the t-shirts printed. Start getting this Fullkrug 9 on the back of the new shirt. Let's just. This is going to be. I feel sorry for him. This is going to be sort of in put into his head now. But let me show you a picture. Where's Fabrizio's picture? Where is it? There we go. Ready? It's coming. It's coming. Ready. This is what we want to see.
Hey. There it is.
Wow.
This is an amazing transfer window. This is like the deadline day that we all wished we'd seen, and it's not even deadline day. We could have a quiet deadline day because we're done. We could get sent back. Easy. Yeah. We've got time.
I think you're right. I think it's a deadline day. I think we're getting stuff done, and with Fabrizio now saying that, it's going to be interesting to see, because I still think because I think you'll get that situation where teams will start looking at their squads. We've bought a lot of players in. We still have a lot of deadwood. That's no disrespect to understand, and that's a hangover from the Moyes era. We've had players on far too long contracts for far too long, and the game's moved on, and the types of players. Yeah, I appreciate the folks not necessarily a spring chicken, but the likes of Somerville, the likes of I've just done the wrong picture. So I was going to screenshot that, and I've ended up screenshotting the picture of you and me on stream. Right, let me do that. This bloody computer, I can't figure it out. But yeah, no, I think it'd be interesting to see. I think it will be outgoings come towards the end of the transfer window for us. Yeah. The likes of maybe I still think Orford will go out on loan. I still think Marshall will go out on loan. I still think I wouldn't be surprised if a side like Southampton come back in for JWP or something like that. Just because I think
he brings value to whoever can use him, and I don't know how we will use him at all at the moment. Yeah, I don't know where he fits.
I mean, when we've just gone through that side, there's no Souček, there's no place for him. Yeah, he could be on the bench, but he could be on the bench. I don't see why you would. He would be more of an impact player than JWP coming on.
Yeah.
So I could see JWP maybe after it. I mean, it's no disrespect. I mean the Folk. He only went to Borussia Dortmund over in the summer last year, and he's now potentially going to us. And so, I think it will be the transfer window. I still think there's a centre half somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it is a Todibo or whether it is a Joe Gomez or something like that. We wouldn't have. It'd be nice. I mean, yeah, the 5 subs, but we had the full squad, won't we? So, I think we'll have to. I think once these 3, I'm going to have a look at the squad and see where the youth team players come into it. Really?
Yeah, because I don't want to see them not get a look in just because we've got a strong bench. because I want us to give these people the opportunities to prove what they can do. And then we've got so many talented youngsters coming up through the ranks as well that we need to be able to give them some game time so they can.
That makes a good point. Obviously, Lewis Orford going out on loan. He says he signed a 5-year deal. You don't send him out on loan. I think you do because he's there for 5 years. He's development. I don't think Lewis will get development in the first team at West Ham this year. I don't think he will. I just, and development is regular game time. 5 minutes every couple of weeks isn't that. Yes, he'll learn, training. But Freddie Potts left a boy and came back a man at Wickham. And I think he could easily do the same thing. Go back to Wickham. There's a Freddie Potts hole ready for him. There's a different player to Freddie. That's how we need to utilise it. Indeed, here we go. Yes, they have. They have indeed. West Ham 300-1 to win the Premier League. There we go.
Marshall looked good in the friendly.
He did. I mean, he's a good player. He's a good player, and you can see why the club offered him a new deal, and Barmer didn't. And I always go back last year. I watched a lot of the 21s, and Barmer didn't look interested. Yeah. He looked gone. Where Marshall, for me, he's always that sort of Craig Bellamy type player. He's nippy, he's annoying. It would do good to get a decent loan deal. I mean, he went to West Brom. Orient really wanted him. I think he would have done better to go to Orient than West Brom. I think he would have got some game time. But yeah, good player. But there's loads. I mean, I reel them off. As I said, I've reeled 4 or 5 off already. And then you've got below that Patrick Kelly. Great little player, midfielder. Sean Moore, really good player as well. Michael Forbes, who's gone to Bristol Rovers on loan. Good. Burley, Northern Ireland, centre-half. There's a lot of Northern Ireland players in there. So it's funny when you listen to them because obviously they're shouting at each other. And it's always a bit more menacing. You got the ball. Give me the ball. The ball. Man on, it's like man on, mate. Oh, no, you got the ball. We've got really deep Northern Irish accents, and it's brilliant to see. If you can get down, guys, to Rush Green, please do. That is it's great fun, and the music's banging as well. If I say so myself.
So Zacky's saying here as well. Surely Todibo comes, Juve can't even afford him. I think the problem is that the player really wants Juventus, so he's going to hang on to see if Juventus make a late move. And I don't know if we can wait that long. Because would we be annoyed if we didn't spend that budget because we were hanging on to try and get him in and then he didn't end up coming?
Well, I think the trouble is Juventus are broke at the moment. And they sold Soulé to Roma, a guy we were obviously linked with, Matthias Soulé. He was always going to go to Roma because his Argentinian teammates are there. Although, ironically, we're signing an Argentinian player now. Then you've got Chiesa, who we've been linked with, but I don't think we'd get him because I think Somerville is the wing. I don't think we need any more wingers after Somerville comes through. So they need to sell players. I think they tried to buy Koopmeyers from Atalanta, and Atalanta want another 20 million quid, and they can't afford it. AC Milan can't afford the Fofana deal. I think we've. By getting in Rodriguez, we've sort of conceded the Fofana deal. So he'll probably will go to AC Milan. But I think Juventus, there is a good possibility of potentially going in for him because they can't afford him. And it doesn't matter if you want to go to a club. If they can't afford you, they can't afford you. You can be as much of an arse as you want. But you might want to stay at Nice. You might want to, but we'll see.
We will see. Goalies on the bench.
No, not anymore.
No goalies.
No, yeah, exactly.
3 midfielders. 5 midfielders.
Indeed.
Need to have some depth. I think that's what this is going to bring us, isn't it, Russ? Like we're going to have.
It's going to be this, yeah, and it's all right. But it's all right having the depth. But I think what it brings us now is a head coach who knows how to work with a squad.
Yeah.
Maybe Moyes was an old school manager. He had to start in 11, you're in or you're out. You look back at, boys of 85, 86. There was a core of around 12, 13 players who played that season, pretty much every fucking game. And that's the mentality he's always had. In the modern day, that don't happen now. You've got too much egos. So it's the ability to rotate. That will get us into Europe next year.
Yeah.
fresh legs, and then next transfer window will be about developing that side to compete in Europe. So it's getting even more quality, and the likelihood is Kudus would probably leave next year, I'd imagine, next summer. I mean, we all sort of thought Paqueta was going to leave this summer until obviously the betting allegations came out. So we're fortunate to have at least another 6 months with him until anything happens.
But we are going to be able to rotate these players a lot better. I
totally agree.
Players happy, and it's going to mean that we can actually tactically adjust based on opposition and how a game is actually going. When we're struggling in a certain area of the pitch, we'll be able to make those changes that will make a difference rather than sticking to the same thing and then at the 80th minute making a couple of changes and hoping that it does something. I think it's just going to be a completely different way of playing that we're not used to seeing at West Ham lately, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, I am. And I think we all need to go to bed now.
We do indeed.
Because Mia's going to be up in a minute, probably.
I've just missed my only sleep of the night. But
you've missed your only hour and a half sleep. Yeah. I can hear the dog shouting, so the neighbour's going to be pissed off. So I've got to sort the dog out. And I've got a whole day cleaning tomorrow. How exciting.
Oh.
And obviously, yeah, exactly. So I'll get my rest in. As I said, if you're new around here, don't forget to give it a like, comment, share, all that stuff. And hopefully we may well be bringing you some news tomorrow.
Yes,
maybe.
I was hoping we've got more than one bit of news as well. I want four signings, at least two.
Crazy.
I'm hoping we can get them quick succession now. Get them over the line, get them done, and then work on the final bits of business before the window.
Well, by the sounds of it, Somerville and Rodriguez should be in this weekend. Obviously Rodriguez is a free transfer, so there's no selling club to worry about. I could crush a grape.
It's one way to celebrate.
You could just down a pint of water like Holly. Anyway, guys, don't forget to, exactly. Don't forget to comment, share, like. Also, don't forget to get your questions in for the big debate next Thursday. And until next time, myself, Holly, Anton, Dan, Mia, Bella the dog. We'll see you guys very, very soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and come on, you Irons.
Thank you for joining us. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.
Good night.
Good night.